Okay guys, so I'm expecting the Dow Jones to start crashing about around September 11th, 2020. So on 9/11 of all days, right? But let me show you why I think this is the case. I made this post on March 12th. I said, Bitcoin bottom, nothing is ever certain, but I think I may have found our potential bottom. And I was pointing to this ring, and it's the peak of the bull run chart. All of these videos that I'm referencing, I will put a link in the description if you want to check them out. But I was pointing to this ring as a potential point to catch a bottom, to first start pushing back up. And this is the next tweet after this actually was the bottom. I think I was off by $50. I think the actual bottom was like $3,980 some dollars, maybe $3,860. We'll have to go back and look. But we did bottom on this ring. We immediately had a bounce straight up. You see this trend line, guys. I do have tutorials teaching you how to create all of these charts. The reason I came up with this method of charting in the first place was to find these potential points where stock market, altcoins, Bitcoin, to find out when these points are that it potentially could get a pump, when you could get a crash, and not only that, but to find the bottom. So again, using trend lines, it helps you. Like if you draw a trend line here, you can see we came up, we topped out right at this point. But we came up ever since we bottomed at this point. This is the chart that I used to find the bottom. I do have a video I made. I'll have that in the description. It's called Peak of the Bull Run. But when I created this chart, I was able to create this red fib circle that you can see prices respecting very well. At the time I published this was November 23rd, 2019. If you'll notice, this is where price is right now. Notice we're finding support on this line in this fib channel. We're finding resistance on the line of this fib channel. If I hit play, look where we bottomed, right on this ring. So the thing about it is using this chart, I think it's very likely if we crash, our first target for support will be this same ring. So potentially, if we had a crash straight down, 6,556, out here would be 7,815. If we drop below this, I think our bottom potentially will be around, depends on when you hit it, it's at an angle, but 22,700 up to potentially, right here is around 3,500. So this was able to nail the bottom. This is the actual Dow Jones chart. So if you'll notice this published version here, I was telling you pay attention to this ring right here. On the actual chart, I have the rings a little brighter and thicker so you can see them. But as you can see, if I zoom out, this is all the same fib circle here. If I move this, it's all the same fib circle. So not only did this chart help me actually predict, when we would possibly have a drop, it also nailed the bottom, which further shows how well price is respecting this fib circle. And you'll see when price pushed up, we found resistance at this ring, came back down, respecting all of these lines in these fib circles on this chart. But specifically this white fib circle, you can see we came up as resistance, and we came up as resistance. We found support on it twice, and it just so happens. So this is the first ring that we had the drop at. This ring here. This is the next ring out. This is the third ring out. We are going to make contact with this ring on September 11th. So on 9/11, we will be crossing this ring. Now, yes, these are pivot rings. Again, this is why I came up with this method of charting in the first place, is to find these pivots. Yes, it's possible. We could cross this and shoot straight up. I think it's more likely with what's going on in the world economy, especially, or the global economy, especially here in the U.S. I think it's more likely that this would come down, but this is a point to pay attention to. Because we're respecting this fib circle so well, I think when we cross this, I think this will be the point we'll come down. If we do push up, notice this yellow, this is actually a fib circle as well. But notice that, we didn't quite make it up to this yellow fib circle, and we're pushing up. If we do push up, I think the highest point we would go is potentially 28,633. I think when we do cross this ring, I think this is when we're going to come down. Of course, this is the Dow. If you're looking at bottom, so if we do drop, your first likely bottom will be this next ring down. So if we cross this, when we start coming down kind of sideways, your first bottom will be this ring, and this is potentially 24,000. Out here is 25,000. If this does not hold, the ring we bottomed on will be your next line of support, or ring of support. So right here is potentially 19,523. Out here is 20,800. And if it gets really bad, guys, if this goes into a depression, I mean, if it gets really bad, your next ring down, this is all the same fib circle. If we bottomed here and we have a major crash, your next ring below is down here around 14,000. This is around 15,000 here. This is around 15,700. And you've got rings in the same fib circle down here. You know, the next ring down would be 11,254. So what I'm saying is, if we do have a major crash, this chart will actually show you where that bottom will be, just like it did right here. If we go to this Bitcoin chart, now this is the one I referenced in that video also. Let me go and play this out. So take note, this white fib circle here, price found support and resistance. Let me zoom in a bit here. Notice we found resistance underneath this white ring. When we crossed this blue ring, it was pivot to go up. You see, we found a little bit of resistance on this white ring. This is the one I was referencing in that video, that when we crossed it, I think it was likely that we could, it would cause a dump in the price of Bitcoin, going along with the Dow Jones. What just so happens, this is the next fib circle right here we're coming up on. So let me show you this chart. And this ring right here, I'll show you this yellow fib circle. I've had this. This is my original capitulation ring. I'll show you this in the next chart, but just I'm going to get this out of the way so it doesn't get too confusing. There's a lot on this chart. But this is the ring I'm talking about. So according to the Dow Jones chart, you know, we're going to cross that ring on 9/11, September 11th. So again, this is the same fib circle here. See, this is when we crossed. We had a crash. Notice we're finding resistance right underneath this this yellow ring right here. When we make contact with this ring, if we continue sideways, we're going to make contact with this ring on potentially September 8th. You know, down here this will be September 11th. Let me go ahead and just put a vertical line here. So this is September 11th. So just looking at how price reacted with this previous one, when we crossed this ring, we dumped. It's possible, you know, we could push up, we could cross the ring and then ride down the outside of it. This ring we could just ride down the inside of the ring, just kind of like we did back here. These rings play out different ways. The point is they're pivot points. It's a time to pay attention to, because if price is respecting a fib circle, when you get to the next ring, typically it's going to respect it again, or it's going to respect the next ring. So that's why I'm saying, just like last time, I had a chart that showed it looked like Bitcoin was going to drop and the Dow was going to drop. Same thing. The same chart I used to predict the last Dow crash is showing that it looks like we're coming up on a ring that could cause a potential drop. And I have a ring on one of the same charts that show that it looks like it's going to push Bitcoin down. So I do think there's a lot of downside to come. So this here is the, I published this chart on June 24th. This is my ring of capitulation. And in this previous chart, this is the ring I turned off. Let me turn this back on here. So this is my original capitulation chart, or rings that I was using. If you'll notice on this chart, again, this was June 24, 2019. I wanted to find a point where possibly Bitcoin would start coming down. Take note, these two yellow rings part of the same fib circle. If I hit play, you can see as soon as we crossed that ring, as soon as we crossed this ring, we started coming down. And take note that when we got to the next ring, we started pushing up it. We came down a bit, pushed up some more. When we dropped, notice we bottomed right where this ring was, and then started pushing up this ring. So these gave you potential points to sell and buy. You know, and again, this is back in June 24th of last year. This is my Coinbase weekly chart. Again, guys, all these charts available on the website. They play out live on mobile phones, tablets, desktops. You just click the link, they load up. If you do have a free TradingView account, though, you can save my charts as your own. They're shareable. Just click the copy icon, and you can edit these charts, add your own indicators, change the time frame. Just wanted to point that out. But this chart right here, this has been very good for macro targets. But I've been telling people that the reason I believe that Bitcoin is still in a bear market is because we cannot get above this yellow line right here. Every time we hit this yellow line, we get rejected. And the reason for this, and I could zoom out, this has a lot on this chart. Let me just show you another an actual chart here. So this is the actual, this is why I was saying we're still in a bear market. This line right here, this has been support and resistance going back since 2011. This was resistance here, support, support, resistance, support. You know, right here was 2014. This is 2017. Back here it was support and resistance on 2018. Right here it was support and resistance 2019 in December. You can see we held a support. As soon as we broke it, we dropped. And every time we hit this line, we got rejected. We got rejected here, got rejected here. We pushed back up, got rejected again. So this is what I'm saying. Because we broke this support that goes back since 2011, and we came up and tested its resistance, it could not break above it. To me, that is very bearish. That's why I expect this to start coming back down. And that is what this chart shows. This line right here. And that's why I've been telling people in my previous videos that this is the line where I become bullish or bearish. If we can make it above this yellow line, you know, right now our target would be around 12,300. If we make it above this point, I would get bullish. But since we keep getting rejected, that's why I'm still bearish. But take note how accurate this chart is. This was a post I made on Twitter. I was telling people that we were coming up on support, 11,369. So this would be the point to long from. I said getting close to support would be a good support level to chance a long, and I was telling people if you might want to long alts as well if they're also at support, and you can see how this played out. As soon as we hit this support level, we started pushing up. So the charts are accurate, but the main takeaway is as long as we're below this, I think it's bearish. And again, this chart back here, guys, I have a lot of charts up here. This chart right here, I think the same thing's going to play out. It's either going to play out where we cross this ring and then come down, or it'll play out like this ring right here where we hit this ring and it starts pushing price down. The other scenario is we cross it and then start riding down the ring. So something like this, or potentially we cross it and then come down the outside of it. And I think this will play along with the Dow Jones chart as well.